Mr. Ranking Member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dahmer, in your advanced policy questions, you responded that Russia poses a threat to European security. However, you did not directly answer the question if Russia poses a threat to the United States. Do you believe that Russia poses a threat to the United States?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you very much. And if you do believe that, would you also agree that it's harmful to our national security interests to reduce U.S. forces in Europe?
Mr. Ranking Member, again, the President's historic success at the Hague Summit in getting our NATO allies and partners to increase their defense spending and to field combat credible military forces. This is actually an example of the President and the administration's success at burden sharing, including with NATO. We were able to conclude this temporary rotational deployment of this additional brigade combat team, which began in February 2022. I would note in the department's statement at that time that this was always intended to be a temporary deployment to deter Russian aggression against NATO and to reassure our NATO allies. And this is a success story. We're able to conclude this rotational deployment, restore readiness to the Army and to its brigade combat team forces in this case, and strengthen burden sharing with allies and partners precisely to be able to deter the threat of Russian aggression against NATO.
So you perceive that Russia has ceased its aggression against NATO and Ukraine, even though there's evidence of increased activity by the Russians in Europe, drone attacks, drone incursions. In fact, such an incursion happened in Romania. So we've succeeded in our mission against the Russians?
Mr. Ranking Member, Russia has not attacked NATO. I think objectively our deterrence posture vis-a-vis Russia has been successful. Ukraine is obviously not a part of NATO, so the ongoing war, which the President is focused on peace and bringing a conclusion to that war, continues to stand. I would note that there was a high degree of alignment between both civilian and military leaders on the assessment and on the decision for this conclusion of this rotational deployment.
In your advanced responses to the advanced policy questions, you indicated regarding Europe, our goal is to empower our NATO allies to be capable of taking primary responsibility and prioritizing security assistance packages designed to promote burden sharing in the region to include defending against Russia. In light of this view, which recognizes the need to continue to support our allies with military assistance, and do you agree that zeroing out the security cooperation funding for European Command, which was in the administration's FY 2026 budget, makes sense?
Mr. Ranking Member, NATO, again, through President Trump's historic credit at the Hague Summit in securing 5% spending on their own defense, empowering them to lead in their own defense. The NATO allies are rich countries, and they need to step up and spend in their own defense. We've been fully transparent with our NATO allies from the President on down that the President and this administration expect them to step up in their own defense. We've given them opportunities to transition these programs.
Isn't there a partnership aspect of NATO that all members have to contribute to the common effort? And this budget the President has submitted basically says we're not going to put any money into the significant aspects of NATO cooperation. I think your answer is probably going to be similar to your previous answers, so I'll just leave that as a rhetorical question. Dr. Kadlec, my time is running out. I want to commend you because I think biological warfare has been underestimated as a potential going forward, and your experience with biotechnology and biological enterprises is significant. But the question of nuclear right now is so up in the air. For example, last week, President Trump said, because of other countries' testing programs, I have instructed the Department of War, otherwise known as the Department of Defense, to start testing on nuclear weapons on an equal basis. That process will begin immediately. Then on Sunday, last Sunday, Secretary of Energy Wright said, I think the tests we're talking about right now are systems tests. These are not nuclear explosions. These are what we call non-critical explosions. However, on 60 Minutes, later in the day, the president was asked, are you saying that after more than 30 years, the United States is going to start detonating nuclear weapons for testing? In response, the president said, I'm saying that we're going to test nuclear weapons like other countries do, yes. Where are we?
Sir, to your point, I followed the same conversations, and I think if confirmed, I'll be able to understand more clearly what the nature of the direction is to the department. I have not been privy to any communication from the president.
Stepping back, and just a final point, Mr. Chairman. Do you think resuming nuclear testing would be destabilizing?
Sir, one thing that I did identify in just this short period of time from these statements is that there's been a pattern, what appears, of concerns going back to 2019 about the adherence and compliance of both Russia and China with the Threshold Test Ban Treaty, signed during the, I guess, negotiated during the Cold War, entered into force in 1990, which limits explosive testing below 150 kilotons. The issue here is whether there's evidence, and again, I'm not privy to classified information, because it's highlighted in these compliance reports in 2020, 2021, and 2025 that there may be information that would suggest otherwise. So I would be speculating, and that I don't think that would be helpful to anybody, but I do commit to the idea that this is a very important issue. It's a very important issue to the idea of what we're facing with our adversaries, because some of these kinds of weapons would be called regional kind of weaponry, things that would be used on a tactical or operational basis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your indulgence. Thank you very much.